Well, good morning. We are here this morning, leaders of law enforcement in California, civic leaders in California, those who have been charged and have assumed responsibility for prioritizing the public safety of the residents of our state. We are joined this morning to announce the creation of the Division of Recidivism Reduction and Reentry of the California Department of Justice. This new division of the California Department of Justice has been formed for a number of reasons that all have to do with contributing to improving and sustaining public safety in the state of California. Joining me today is Supervisor and Chairman of the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors, Mark Ridley Thomas, the President of the California District Attorneys Association and the District Attorney of Monterey County, Dean Filippo, the District Attorney of Los Angeles County, Jackie Lacey, the District Attorney of Alameda County, Nancy O'Malley, the District Attorney of San Diego County, Bonnie Dumanis, the District Attorney of Riverside County, Paul Zellerbach, the Sheriff of Los Angeles County, Lee Baca, and he is here also as a representative of the California State Sheriff's Association, the Chief of Police of Los Angeles, Charlie Beck, the President of the California Police Chiefs Association and the Police Chief of Covina, Kim Rainey, are all here to talk about their perspective and their role in this new division of the California Department of Justice. So essentially where we are today in California is we are facing the challenge that we have faced for decades, which is the challenge presented by one of the highest recidivism rates in the country. Recidivism is a long and perhaps fancy and difficult to pronounce word that describes the rate of re-offense by known offenders. Individuals who have been tried, who have been found by facts and evidence to have violated the law, individuals who have been convicted of that offense, individuals who have been sentenced and have served their time, and then return to the community and reoffend. That is recidivism. California has experienced over the last number of years a recidivism rate that is as high as 67% within 3 years of release. 60% of California offenders upon release within 3 years reoffend. If we were talking about a business that had a failure rate of that number, we would reorganize, we would re-examine, and we would guide our approach by a well-proven method which asks us to think about what is the return on our investment. That's how we are approaching this work going forward with this division of the California Department of Justice. Looking at what is the return on the investment that Californians put into the criminal justice system, and are we getting what we bargained for and what we deserve? These leaders standing here have been leaders in doing the work of reduction of recidivism in our state, and this division of the California Department of Justice will be a warehouse and a hub that will emphasize and highlight best practices and will do the work of driving criminal justice policy, the best of which is coming out of our various counties, in a way that we emphasize data-driven, evidence-based approaches to doing law enforcement work and the work of creating public safety in our communities. The issue of recidivism is not only an issue that faces us when we just look at the numbers and in terms of those numbers think of the failure of the system. We also look at it in terms of the cost, the fiscal cost to our communities in our state. It is estimated that we as Californians pay $47,000 a year per prisoner housed in the state prison system. Estimates also tell us that on average for a prosecutor to prosecute just a low-level basic felony, it costs that county approximately at least $10,000 per case. When we look at the number in terms of the cost to California, a Pew study from 2011 has outlined that California could save $233 million a year in prison costs if we reduced recidivism by 10%. A 10% reduction in recidivism could save California on an annual basis over $230 million. So this new division of the California Department of Justice is also highlighting the role of counties, and in particular the sheriffs, the police chiefs, and the prosecutors, the elected DAs of those counties. Why? Well, I think that there is a general consensus that around the county government structure, there is an incredible amount of expertise and resources to address the issue of recidivism. And in particular, combining those resources in a way these leaders can do to reduce recidivism by re-entering former offenders into those counties in a way that we target a reduction of their likelihood to reoffend. That's going to be a function of these leaders crafting an initiative, as many of them have already done. That includes the private sector. That includes the nonprofit sector. That includes our faith-based leaders, our educators, doing it in a way that ensures and at least increases the likelihood that that known offender will not reoffend. So the focus then of this new division, the Division of Recidivism Reduction and Reentry, is to highlight the leaders in the 58 counties of California and their best practices. As you may know, the California Attorney General, under the California Constitution, has the responsibility and authority to support local law enforcement in the work that they do, and this is one of those important areas. Specifically, this new division will do three things. One, it will identify programs and evidence-based practices that are currently being done in the various counties in a way that we can allow for and facilitate replication throughout the state. Some counties have more resources than others, but each of the counties has a shared and equal commitment to doing this work. What we want to do through the California Department of Justice is provide a place where the county leaders can come to get information, to get feedback, and assistance to do the work of replicating proven models. The second of the three areas of focus for this division will be to identify grants and innovative sources of funding to support local law enforcement to do this work. You'll hear from many of the leaders here about what they've already been able to pull together, but the reality is that in this new approach to doing business, there will be a need for, in some situations, additional resources to support that work, and so we're making a commitment to helping these leaders do just that. And in fact, I have talked with the Attorney General of the United States, Eric Holder, about this division and the creation of this division, and he has pledged his support of the work that we are doing. So we will also figure out innovative ways to bring to California resources from the United States Department of Justice to highlight the reduction of recidivism work that is happening here. And third, there will be an emphasis on technology. As we know, we in California are very fortunate to have in our backyard those people who are creating the technology that has changed the way the world works. One of the fundamental tools and important tools that law enforcement relies on is our ability to communicate, to share information, to share intelligence. This technology and the current state of technology can help us do that in a better way that allows us to do it faster, more effectively, more accurately, and more efficiently. For that reason, last month we unveiled to California law enforcement leaders the creation of a new initiative in the California Department of Justice called Smart Justice. And essentially what we have done is we have partnered with technologists and leaders in technology to create a new data system in the California Department of Justice that will combine many of the separate databases that we maintain in a way that will allow these law enforcement leaders to have at their desktop or on their smartphone information that helps them track offenders, track trends, and in that way craft their priorities in a way that they can distribute the limited resources they have most efficiently and in a smart way. Smart Justice will allow us, as we go forward with an emphasis on reduction of recidivism, to do the same kind of work, track trends, and figure out how we can combine resources in a way that we're more likely to reduce the likelihood that a known offender will reoffend. So it's all very exciting, and we're very excited. And I will tell you that this ultimately, and the spirit behind this, is about supporting strategic law enforcement. It's about recognizing that the work that we do in law enforcement is work that is guided by a profession, the profession of law enforcement, which means best practices, which means training, which means replicating known and proven approaches and methodologies. And so that is what this initiative is about, and it is to encourage those best practices in a strategic way that can highlight what California always does best. So goes California, goes the rest of the country. We've been a leader in many ways. These are leaders nationally in terms of what we can do with law enforcement, and we believe and are committed to doing everything that is possible to reducing recidivism in a way that we believe will be a model for the country, frankly, of what can be done. So it's the beginning, and I'm very excited about the work that we are embarking on. And with that, I am going to turn the microphone over to Mark Ridley Thomas, who has, for a very long time, been committed to this work and has pledged the support of the County of Los Angeles to support this new initiative. Mr. President.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Attorney General. It is my view that leadership matters, and you have once again displayed leadership for which we are very grateful. The County of Los Angeles, by way of a formal request and resolution, sought the intervention of the California Attorney General to help us sort through a significant crisis. And as chairman of the board, I've observed several troubling issues with respect to the county's capacity to effectively measure and evaluate the impact we're having on recidivism and rehabilitation. The prison population that has shifted to us is our responsibility for public safety realignment. And so this new initiative, this new division, this innovative way of causing us to get our arms around this issue is indeed most assuredly welcome. It's through the Countywide Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee that the Board of Supervisors has engaged in trying to cause our criminal justice partners, the courts, law enforcement agencies, the district attorney, the public defender, the alternate public defender, local school districts, and the county's probation department, as well as health services and public health, and add to that mental health. Everybody is trying to figure out how we can do a better job in reducing recidivism and enhancing rehabilitation. And I have to tell you that we believe very strongly that this new division will be a very, very strategic way for us to enhance our outcomes. The absence of such causes us to do what we don't wish to do, and that is to wander about trying to figure out how to define recidivism in a way that makes sense. Well, I understand from the Attorney General that help is on the way, and we welcome it because absent a clearly defined operational definition of what recidivism really is, how you measure it, how you measure outcomes, how you measure successes, end up being more of a problem than we care to mention. The Sheriff of the County of Los Angeles, the District Attorney of the County of Los Angeles, and I have been in a conversation of some consequence with the Countywide Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee as well as other partners to say we can get a better operating definition and therefore know what our successes are and how we can achieve more. And so once again, I welcome this. This is a response to a very profoundly felt need. We take the business of working in public safety very, very important, and I consider this to be a huge step forward. So we extend our thank you for that. And now we want to bring forward the California District Attorneys Association President, Dean Flippo. Dean?
On behalf of the California District Attorneys Association, we are extremely pleased that the Attorney General has invited us here We are very much in support of her program that she has laid out. There are over 5,000 prosecutors that the California District Attorneys Association represents. Services, trains, legislative advocacy. We are in the courts every day. Every case, we are there. And I don't think that you will find any more uniquely qualified group of people to participate in the Attorney General's initiative than prosecutors. And we look forward to that. What we need is something that you all are very much aware of. We have a huge state, 58 counties with 58 different ways of doing things. And as the chairman just indicated, we may have 58 definitions of recidivism. And as my colleague, District Attorney Zellerbach said earlier, how do we measure if every one of us are measuring under something different? That's why we need the Attorney General to step forward, and we are so pleased that she has. We have to bring all of that together. We are presented now with opportunities. Challenges certainly, but opportunities to succeed. We are concerned about public safety. We are concerned about victims. We also are prosecutors, which means that we follow the law. We are charged with enforcing the law, and we have to make every effort to make this law, make realignment work. So these opportunities, these challenges that we have, we look forward to working with the Attorney General and our other partners in the criminal justice system. We are so pleased that this is happening now. We have had realignment for 2 years, and it has mixed results if you read the newspapers. We have to drive down that recidivism. And since we're concerned about public safety, if we can reduce the recidivism rate, we're making our citizenry that more safe. So again, Attorney General, thank you for having us here. The California District Attorneys Association looks forward to working with you. And at this time, I would like to introduce the next speaker. You in Los Angeles are so fortunate to have such a great DA, Jackie Lacey. She's one of ours also. And so at this time, District Attorney Jackie Lacey, Los Angeles County.
Good morning. I welcome the Attorney General's effort to assist local prosecutors in expanding new ways to reduce recidivism in California. Since I took office last year, I've been working with my colleagues across the state on what I believe is the first major step in this process. It is defining recidivism under the Public Safety Realignment Act. How do we even measure recidivism today when we can no longer send offenders to prison for most probation violations? Do we treat violations punishable by flash incarceration, which result in just a few days in the county jail, the same as those that were once punishable by a year in the state prison? Without a standardized definition, we cannot compare historic recidivism rates with today's data to determine the effects of this new state law on public safety and on our community. Accurate data is essential, and the Attorney General's initiative will provide local prosecutors with the accurate data we need to determine realignment's real impact on public safety. It will also bring together stakeholders in the criminal justice system to share ideas on how to best reduce recidivism in our communities. In Los Angeles County, I am committed to providing alternatives to incarceration for non-violent offenders. This ensures that the limited number of jail beds are open and available for serious and violent offenders. It also saves money and resources that may be diverted to actually helping people, like some of our returning veterans charged with minor offenses, helping people finally turn their lives around and get out of a life of crime forever. I look forward to working with other prosecutors in this state and maybe in the nation in developing effective diversion programs for non-violent offenders, such as those who have mental illness and drug addiction, and seeking funds to expand alternative sentencing courts. The Attorney General's division could not have come at a better time for Los Angeles County. Thank you, and thank you. And I am introducing my colleague and fellow elected DA, Alameda County DA Nancy O'Malley.
Good morning. I'm very, very pleased to be here, and I speak from the heart as well as from the leadership of my own county in Alameda County in thanking our Attorney General for once again standing as a strong, true leader to protecting the community, to protecting all Californians, and to ensuring public safety. I join, and I know my colleagues do as well, join her in her sustained dedication to making sure that we are being smart on crime and that we're providing smart and effective justice. I oversee a county where we have a very high violent crime rate. In fact, has been tested as one of the highest in the state per capita. So I'm very mindful of the efforts that we can put into stopping individuals from committing crimes. And the only way that we can do that is for being more purposeful, as under the leadership of the Attorney General, in how we are working with offenders who have now come back into our community. As the leader in her earlier days, the Attorney General Harris created Smart on Crime. And through that program, she successfully developed programs that redirected the criminal justice focus away from just incarceration to bringing programs together that were effective and were efficient financially and in every other way. And it is under that umbrella that we stand here today, I stand here today, so proud of not only the work that she has done and the leadership she has shown to all of us, but as a partner to bring her efforts to my county so that we too can have the safe, secure communities that we strive for. I have very strong support for this initiative, and especially for the dedication to serving our community, to helping individuals who have been involved in criminal activity and have been committing crimes, as well as to the victims who have been suffered as a result of those actions. And by decreasing the recidivism and by providing the opportunities for individuals once involved in criminal activity with the ability to make smarter choices, to make better choices, to make crime-free choices, we are preventing further individuals in our community from becoming victims of those crimes. So we stand here and join her today as a full partner and appreciate all of the efforts and the leadership and the resources that she will help us identify so that we can all be as successful as she was as district attorney in San Francisco and now as Attorney General. The efforts here will help us all build those effective programs to stop that revolving door of crime. It'll help us identify and secure the resources we need, and as Dean Filippo, DA from Monterey County, said, the prosecutor is uniquely situated because we are involved in every case, from the leadership in the community to being in the courtroom working with the cases. And lastly, as a result of the data collection that the Attorney General spoke of, we will be able to evaluate the programs that we are investing in to see if in fact they are producing the result that we hope for. And if they are, we will put our resources there. And if they're not, then we will spend our money wisely. We will be smart on crime. We will provide smart justice and dedicate our resources where they will make the difference that we all strive for. It is now my great honor to introduce the District Attorney from San Diego County, Bonnie DeMonas, who herself has been a pioneer in reentry and reintegration back into a safe community.
Well, good morning. Smart on Crime, that sounds like a name of a book, doesn't it? I encourage you all to read that book, as I have. I am proud to be here with the Attorney General and my colleagues, and proud of her for her leadership in this area of reentry, of alternatives, on holding people accountable. I remember when Attorney General Kamala Harris joined us on the California District Attorney's board as a leader, even then, on reentry and on smart on crime. And as the San Francisco DA, she led the effort in her jurisdiction with Back on Track and other programs that certainly showed that we can hold people accountable and give them the tools so that they can turn their lives around and not become a criminal again. In San Diego County, so the other end of California, at the same time, our office has been ahead of the curve as well when it comes to breaking the cycle of recidivism. During the last several years, we've been a statewide model and leader in designing and implementing innovative prisoner reentry programs. In spite of that, our jails still, because of AB 109, are full and almost over capacity on a regular basis. So it's clear that realignment is putting pressure on all of us in the criminal justice system, and we have to look for other alternatives that keep our community safe, keep our victims safe, but also lower the recidivism rates. That's why more than several years ago, we were working on closing the revolving door to prison in key ways to protecting our public. In San Diego County, our law enforcement partners, Sheriff Gore, and all in law enforcement, the community, the victims community, we have been collaborating for years and do it very well and are committed to reducing the cycle of recidivism. We started down that road in what we call SB 618, which took effect by legislation in San Diego from 2007 until 2012, stopping because of prisoner realignment, which is now going on. That was a prison reentry program. It was collaborative, comprehensive, and it starts from the time of the plea bargain through state prison and continues when offenders are released back into the community. Our SB 618 program was evaluated because, as you've heard, we all need to make sure we put our resources in the right area. We worked with more than 1,000 participants and resulted in long-term savings of over $10 million. The recidivism rate in San Diego County plunged to 34%, which, as the Attorney General mentioned, 70%, close to 70% statewide. So clearly that's a program that we've been able to show works. And in fact, the lessons that we've learned from that program became the template for what we do in our community corrections partnership with all law enforcement in the community to do our realignment process. So with today's announcement, collaboration, cooperation, and communication are being taken to a whole new level. And I am so excited about all the possibilities that this new division bring to all of us in law enforcement and to district attorneys who are leaders in their community. And again, I want to thank Attorney General Harris for her strong leadership and support to all of us in law enforcement with this strategic initiative. We're fortunate in California that we have an Attorney General who gets it. As District Attorney, Kamala was on the forefront then. She's on the forefront as Attorney General. And she understands what we need. So I'm looking forward to working with the Attorney General, all my colleagues, to make this work. And now it's my pleasure to introduce another down south area, the District Attorney of Riverside County, who has been a great partner in all of this as well. Thank you.
Good morning. As the District Attorney of Riverside County, I've had the pleasure of creating and implementing several innovative programs in our county to deal with some of these issues. But having worked in the criminal justice system in this state for over the past 35 years, as both a prosecutor and as a Superior Court judge, recidivism is not something new. Irrespective of public safety realignment, irrespective of prison overcrowding or county jail overcrowding, we know that recidivism has been a consistent problem in the state of California for decades. And I think that through prison overcrowding or county jail overcrowding, and also with the implementation of AB 109 and public safety realignment, we are all in the criminal justice system now forced to start thinking of new ways and be more innovative of dealing with our offenders. Business as usual, we know, doesn't work. With the recidivism rate historically at 65 to 70% in this state, we failed that test miserably, unfortunately, for a long time. And I applaud the Attorney General in yet again taking a leadership role in the state to try and come up with innovative ways, pulling together statewide district attorneys in compiling what are the best practices to deal with recidivism, compiling databases that we all can share statewide with law enforcement, because we're all in this together, and be successful. But at the same time, let's not forget, this isn't just about the offender. We know that reducing recidivism will certainly provide those of us in California with a significant financial savings. That's wonderful. But conversely, it will also mean less victims. Conversely, it will mean less offenders that we're sending to jail that we're all paying for as taxpayers. It will also mean that if we have less victims, there will be less financial, physical, psychological, and emotional trauma inflicted on these folks. And to me, that's a win-win situation. And again, I want to commend our Attorney General in bringing us together, taking a leadership role, in putting together this Department of Justice new unit that will assist us, not only in compiling best practices, not only in assisting us in getting funding, because if we're expected to reduce recidivism and save the taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars, we need funding for those programs, for those innovative ideas. We can't do it on our own. And furthermore, to have a statewide database so that we can determine what's working and what's not, and what's effective. So again, I'm committed as the District Attorney of Riverside County to this project, and I have great hopes and expectations that it will be tremendously successful and benefit law enforcement, benefit district attorneys, and benefit the citizens of California. Our next speaker, I have the privilege and honor of introducing the Sheriff of Los Angeles County, who leads one of the biggest law enforcement agencies in this nation, Sheriff Lee Baugh.
Well, thank you. I am very pleased to see the Attorney General in Los Angeles County because I know I'm going to learn something. And the important part of my message is because of the 58 sheriffs of the great state of California. I'm here representing them as well. And thank you, Attorney General, for your vision. I know that you have extraordinary experience in your career in working with the law enforcement community. Let me say this, in order for recidivism to be dealt with, it's generally dealt with one prisoner at a time. That there are a variety of reasons why recidivism exists. It would not be surprising to anyone in the room that 50 to 60% of the people who recidivate are generally recidivating with drugs as part of the problem that they have as an individual. So when you cross over the criminal justice process with what might be construed as a drug problem, you're talking about a health problem as well. And so the County of Los Angeles has embarked upon a plan to reduce recidivism through extensive amount of programs. This is a copy of the plan. The point of the plan is to do all the various things that the Attorney General has laid out in her vision. And it's exciting to see this coalescing of ideas to make things work better. The County of Los Angeles has the largest jail system in America, and therefore the opportunities are great. And at the current point of our effort, and I'll summarize it simply, is that without proper education, psychological treatment, and a variety of resources that are not just in the jail, but in the public domain, we have hundreds and hundreds of clergy that have to come in, because there is a dynamic with individual minds that somehow or another, when they're given assistance and they start to consciously develop their spirituality, they do start to change. And it is not necessarily tied to a specific point of what did you learn next as far as a mathematical solution for something or more English skills. Simply, we looked at education as the cornerstone of turning lives around while they're incarcerated, so that when they do go to the community, they are ready to be received by the community resources in a much more appropriate and successful way. And what's phenomenal about the individuals is that many have dropped out of school. If you look at the statistics relative to school dropouts and in jail and prison, it's phenomenally high correlation. So 3 charter schools are in Los Angeles County, 3 tattoo removal machines are there, cooking 24/7 in order to get the tattoo removal process in action. And so reinventing people and creating a life worth living takes a lot of resources. And I think that what we're embarking upon with the Attorney General's leadership is to talk about this, to do some experimentation, to involve the public while their incarcerated people are in the jail, so that we don't just say that this is something that runs from one institution to another institution to another institution. It's time for all institutions to coordinate appropriately and to find a way, no matter how small that new change is, it could result in hundreds, if not thousands, of new processes and new changes to help men and women who leave the jails never come back. So thank you, Attorney General. Appreciate your vision.